Every morning, billions of people across the planet perform the same ritual. A cup of coffee, a glass of tea, a can of energy drink. No one thinks much about it. Yet that action, something as simple as sipping a dark liquid, is a chemical contract between humans and a molecule caffeine. It slips past the lips, passes through the stomach, enters the bloodstream, and within minutes awakens the brain's central nervous system. You feel clearer, sharper, stronger, but not because you have added energy. Rather, because you have just deceived a system that evolved over millions of years to protect you from exhaustion. Caffeine, at its core, is a plant toxin produced by coffee, tea, and cacao plants as a defense mechanism. Yet humans, the only species on Earth to do so, have turned this toxin into fuel for intelligence and productivity. From its appearance in 17th-century London coffee houses to its saturation of the modern office, caffeine has altered both biology and history. It manipulates the brain so humans can work longer. It helps societies synchronize with machines, and it transforms alertness into a moral value, a measure of productivity and willpower. If there is a molecule that truly represents modernity, it is not DNA or silicon, but caffeine, the molecule that awakened both the brain and civilization. Every great human story begins at the microscopic level, and caffeine, our chemical hero, is no exception. Inside the brain, billions of neurons constantly transmit electrical and chemical signals. As energy reserves decline, adenosine, a byproduct of ATP metabolism, begins to accumulate. It binds to specific receptors, instructing neurons to slow their activity, making you feel sleepy. Adenosine is the brain's safety brake. Then caffeine appears, a perfect imposter. With a chemical structure strikingly similar to adenosine, it slips into those receptors and occupies them. But unlike adenosine, caffeine does not send a time-to-rest signal. It simply silences the warning system. The result is that the brain believes everything is fine. Neurons continue firing, and regions such as the prefrontal cortex and the basal ganglia keep operating at full capacity. At the same time, dopamine, the molecule of motivation and satisfaction, lingers longer in the synaptic cleft, making us feel focused, optimistic, and confident. The adrenal glands release adrenaline, heart rate increases, and the body enters a mild state of arousal, a miniature version of the fight-or-flight response. We are not gaining energy. We are borrowing alertness from the future. The body will reclaim it a few hours later, in the form of deeper fatigue. This is why, while humans believe they are conquering nature, they are in fact manipulating an ancient biological law and being manipulated by it in return. The body never allows deception to last forever. When caffeine repeatedly occupies adenosine's locks, the brain responds by creating more receptors. The more you drink, the more empty receptors remain for real adenosine to bind to once caffeine disappears. This is tolerance, the foundation of mild dependence. At first, a single espresso jolts you awake. After a month, you need 2, then 3. And if you stop abruptly, the accumulated adenosine floods in, leaving you fatigued, headachy, irritable. What is fascinating is that this process does not occur only in the brain, it unfolds across society. Just as neurons create more receptors, industrial society creates more demands to maintain a state of constant alertness. Every worker, every programmer, every student becomes a cell in a global network, dependent on caffeine to sustain an artificial rhythm. Caffeine is no longer merely a substance. It becomes a collective energy regulation system, a socialized structure of fatigue, and thus, coffee addiction is not only a biological phenomenon, but an addiction to performance, an addiction to the feeling of functioning well. Even as the body wears down, from the microscopic world inside the brain, caffeine spread across the entire planet. It traveled with merchant fleets, crossed oceans, and reshaped political and economic maps. In the 17th century, when the first coffee houses opened in London, they quickly became centers of knowledge, places where men did not drink themselves into stupor, but debated, calculated, and created. For a single penny, one could buy a cup of coffee and access to an intellectual revolution. Those penny universities generated ideas that changed the world: modern banking, maritime insurance, journalism, and experimental science. Caffeine replaced alcohol with reason, intoxication with alertness. In the 19th century, as the Industrial Revolution erupted, caffeine became the biological fuel of productivity. It enabled night shifts and kept production running 24 hours a day. At the same time, Europe's thirst for caffeine expanded colonial systems: tea plantations in India, coffee plantations in Brazil, cacao farms in West Africa all became lifelines of an economy built on wakefulness. Caffeine created global synchronization. In Britain, mornings began with tea. In France, with coffee. In America, with Coke. 3 empires, 3 drinks, 1 molecule. And ironically, caffeine, the symbol of intellectual freedom, also became a new form of restraint, binding individuals to the massive industrial machine. Today, caffeine no longer lives only in coffee cups. It hides in brain supplements, energy drinks, candies, yogurts, even skincare products. We do not just drink caffeine, we inhale it, apply it, absorb it in every possible form. The 21st century marks the era of synthetic caffeine, where science has refined a natural molecule into a tool for human optimization. From university students to software engineers, from drivers to CEOs, caffeine has become an extension of willpower. Caffeine is now the common language of globalization. It allows people to work across time zones, send emails at 2 in the morning, attend meetings in the middle of the night. In the knowledge economy, where value is measured in speed of thought, caffeine becomes part of professional DNA. Yet the paradox is clear: the more we rely on it, the less we listen to our bodies. A world where everyone is awake is, in reality, a sleep-deprived world where productivity is sustained through biological debt. Caffeine, the symbol of progress, now reflects the very limits of humanity. We can extend alertness, but we cannot generate infinite energy. Nature always balances its ledger. Caffeine is the bridge between biology and history, between neurons and factories, between neural circuits and the global economic system. In the brain, it deceives adenosine to keep us awake. In society, it distorts our sense of time, convincing us that we are in control of the machine. But like all loans, the alertness caffeine provides must be repaid through sleep, through exhaustion, through rare moments of quiet that we have forgotten how to enjoy. If silicon is the foundation of the digital age, then caffeine is the foundation of the age of human labor. A tiny molecule has shaped heartbeats, sleep, and the course of human history. The question is not whether we can live without caffeine. The question is whether we still know how to live without having to be awake all the time.